Hey, folks. Leo is back in the house. 6:30 a.m. Central Standard Time for day 4. Yesterday I said day 2 when I was thinking day 3. But it don't matter. It was one of the days. We are here again with another mastermind experience on this family business life 9-day transformation challenge. And listen, I don't know if you've been following. If you have, you know you have experienced challenge for transformation. I know I have. I know it's been like I'm over here sitting and doing some other stuff behind the scene, and every bit of it has challenged me. And the transformation, as I have said, has brought quantum leaps. And I'm not just talking about in a growth pattern only. I'm talking about in some actual, tangible, realizable realities of myself and the thought process as it pertains to family life and business life, being teammates and not opponents. Listen, this morning we have some fire. Let me tell you how much fire we got. These folks that got in and put something in the chat, and they are on. I mean, these folks are ready. So let me just bring them in and we'll do all the introductions and conversations. Listen, this is the only couple that is a part of the mastermind experience in this 9-day transformation challenge. And they look, you can't get one of them, in my opinion. You call one, you need to call both. You see? And so this is a one man. This right here, this couple. Okay, let me just kind of set this up. All right.
Let's go.
Let me set this up. So I go to Dallas to participate in the speak off competition. And this fella right here, he's got all this glittery, he's got all this glittery jacket, got his bow tie on,
Literally the same.
he's all gelled up in the hair, and his wife is by his side until she can't go in the room with him. And man, you're talking about he looked like Showtime at the Apollo. Right. And when I tell you he brought it with his message, look at them. They got the lights and everything over there. This is how they do it. This is how we do it. Listen, today is going to be one of those days because what I'm talking about in the lunch and learn, I might start out with something very unique when it comes to the music side, but I'm not going to go there right now. This couple right here, Saul and Vanessa, they are absolutely legit when it comes to, I just got to tell you, when it comes to the energy, when it comes to the fire. I mean, they text me this morning talking about, let's go, we ready. I'm like, I'm ready too. But so listen, what makes this couple so magnificent, and when I tell you, I met them in Dallas at the preliminary levels, and then we all made, well, more so I think Saul made it Saul made it to the semifinals in Miami with me. And I told you can't get one by themselves, right? look, my man, James Powell, he got his cold shower this morning. He got the cold shower power, man. Sometimes we need to do stuff like that. I hadn't made it there, James, but at one point I hope to. So Saul makes it to the semifinals with me. Vanessa's there. I mean, they went to 10X Stages workshop the days before, and like they were about it. And here's why I'm saying that. When they say, when it comes to their business and their mission, that we came to serve or just came to serve, period. That's what you could expect. So, listen, Saul, Vanessa, how are you this morning other than what I already showed?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Family Business Life Mastery Day number 4.
Oh,
We're
yes.
halfway there. Let's go. If you have
Man.
not seen the past days, you need to go and get that fire. You need to go and things we've learned. Like, you don't create energy, you release it. You are here
Yep,
to
you
serve
generate
the
it.
world. You need this comfort, for growth, and how much more wisdom and nuggets are going to come for the next couple days. So we are ready for you. Actually, you know what? Let me plug this in right here.
Come
We
on, bring
ready
some more.
for you.
Bring
Let's
some more.
let's go. Let's bring that discomfort. Let's bring that transformation, because we know that you have a gift and talent in you. You have greatness in you.
Yeah.
You have something
Come
that
on,
was put
Les.
in you, so you can come into the world because you came to serve. So let's
Come
go.
on,
Let's get
man.
this
Listen,
started.
he went Les Brown on me. You have greatness within you.
That's
Come
right.
on, come on, man. So I want to make sure everybody knows we are not just live, but we are publicly live on YouTube and publicly live on LinkedIn. And days 1 through 3, you had to be on the backside. Days 4 through 9, you can get in where you fit in on LinkedIn, you hear? Or you can go to YouTube. I'm telling you, this is exciting. I mean, it is streaming live on my YouTube page at Leo Simpson II. That's really Leo Simpson the second, but people need to know what it is. And then same thing on my LinkedIn. You are seeing it live on my LinkedIn. So listen, let's get into this conversation because Saul's talking about the nuggets and the wisdom and the power of perspective that's been given. But listen, this couple has a way of talking about things, and let me just set this up because they probably wouldn't say this, and I won't get into the true nitty gritty of the details, but this couple was in a position to where they had some serious transitions just recently. I'm talking about within the time frame of being invited to come and be a guest on this platform. I'm talking about they were going through the grind. I mean, trying to deal with transitioning from one place to another, doing renovations. Who knows what all they really got going on? So we're going to be talking about family life crashing and burning while business life is perceptively thriving and vibing. But here's the thing, they're going to give you some tips and tools and some strategies and some solutions. But more than anything, you all, as a young couple and what I want to say, a young power couple. And I got 16 years in. I can tell you what I see when I see it. Okay. Don't play here. As a young power couple, already dealing with the nuances of business. And see, for you guys, business is, a combination of employment, right? And then it's a combination of you all building your business, building your community, building your brand. Like, that's challenging. And it ain't nothing to play with. So both of you all talk about that a little bit while I let the seat shine for you.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, family business life mastery is what we live for, right? Even before we got married, even before we were even engaged, we started a business together. I mean, that's pretty good. Now that I think about it, it's kind of crazy to do, right? To
Come
commit
on now.
so big that with someone that you're dating, it's because we knew that we had this passion for business life mastery and family included in that because we were dating at the time. And so we knew that, not only are we in it as business partners, but we're in it as life partners. And it didn't take us long to get married because we just knew that we had this calling to be entrepreneurs together.
Came to
Not
serve. Come
only,
on.
yeah, we had, as soon as he shared his vision for Came to Serve, I was in business. I had just graduated business school and he shared this vision for Came to Serve. And I was like, that's it. That's my life. That's who I came, that's what I came to do. I came to serve. And as believers, that's what we believe, is that we came to serve other people. And in that, we ourselves are being served and our families are being served. And it fuels one another, like you said, Leo. And so that's what we're passionate about. But yeah, my story started when I was just 16 years old. I was at a youth conference and I got a phone call from my brother. And I stepped outside because he said, hey, it's an emergency. Please call me back. And so I stepped out of the conference and I answered the phone. And as soon as I heard his voice, my soul just dropped and I just kind of went numb because he said, hey, Dad is on his way to the hospital and we don't know what's going on. We don't know if he's gonna live. We have. My dad was actually in Mexico visiting his mom who had cancer at the time, and so we were like a whole 24 hours of drive away from him, and he wasn't able to call us. He was in an ambulance going to the States to who knows what. We didn't know what had happened. And so it wasn't until the next morning that we found out that my dad had to have emergency spine surgery.
Wow.
And was told he would no longer be able to walk. He wouldn't be able to walk. And this was like a night and day thing. He didn't have any back issues. He'd never had any prior issues before. And so just from night and day, talk about family crisis, right?
Yeah.
And, that meant that my dad would no longer be able to do his job. He would no longer be able to support our family. And my immigrant mother, who had an 8th grade education and no career, because she had been a stay-at-home mom, she was now financially responsible for our family.
Wow.
And we were just in this family crisis mode where, tension and stresses were super high. We thought we were going to lose everything because my dad was now in a wheelchair. And what did we do? We were kind of lost and afraid. And what we did was we went knocking door to door, asking people if we could clean their houses for some cash.
In hustle mode.
Yeah. My mom, one thing as a Mexican mom she's good at is cleaning. So that's what we did. We took advantage of our skills and what we knew. And we're like, hey, let's start a business. And so we literally went knocking door to door, handing out business cards that we just printed out and saying, hey, can we clean your house for some cash? And that's literally where it started. My 16-year-old self, my mom, and my teenage brother as well. And that taught me so much at an early age about family, about business, about crisis mode, about how do you put into action something that you're just so afraid because you really don't have any other option. The reason we started a business is because there is no other option, right? My mom couldn't get a job or go out and go to school.
Yeah.
And so that really taught me so much and set me up for where we are today in our marriage and learning that business is not just this side hustle that you make money.
Come on.
Right? It feeds into your marriage, into your family. It builds generations. It changes legacies, like I can see the bigger picture because I've been there, right?
Now go like this and drop the mic. That's it.
Listen. Let me tell you something.
30 a.m. guys.
Listen. So Lynn, I call her. She's my trigger person. Y'all over here, I'm gonna call y'all the mic drop people. We ain't even got 15 minutes in. We barely 15 minutes in. You already over here. Man, oh my goodness.
So good.
Man, you got Carl Wynn, who's going to be on Monday night. He's on this morning. He's over here throwing some bombs in the chat, talking about leverage the past. We're gonna be talking about nothing is a waste on Monday. But man, Vanessa, listen, I'm gonna just tell you, y'all. Let me give you a full disclaimer of Leo's thoughts. I did not expect Vanessa to lead out. Okay, I expected Saul to come and be like, yeah, but Vanessa was like, I'm ready. She was like, she went straight up ET mode. Listen, Vanessa. Listen, my goodness. You threw me for a loop. Oh my goodness.
Good morning, Leo. Good morning.
No, this is good. You just opened up the Leo host thing in a different way because I'm taking y'all differently than where I was thinking. Look at my man, James Powell. Tell us, recycle the pain, baby.
That's right.
Listen, so here's what I hear. All right, you tell me. Oh my goodness, how valuable. Like, I know you said it, but we're going to go into it because so many people, I said this, I believe, with Lynn Ann in the VIP Q&A experience. And it wasn't exactly this way, but it was in the context of, like, understand, folks, when we have adverse situations, when we have difficulties in business, we look at that and we're like, okay, there's a challenge. Oh, let me run to that because that challenge is going to bring us our goodness, because it's always in the context of the adversity that you find your seeds of equivalent advantage, right? But we don't always do that for family life. Matter of fact, because of those misleading beliefs that I've talked about over the first 3 days, what happens is when we start getting stuff happening in family life and it's challenging and it's disruptive, we start saying, well, should I leave the family? The balance is not working and I'm just not sure how it's going to come together. And literally, you're telling me at 16 years of age, when your father's in a position to where he's not going to be able to provide in the way that he was, everybody says, crisis, now it's comfort. Let's go do this and run a business.
Yeah.
What? No. Talk to me about what the crisis really revealed in you guys beyond starting the business, because this is where the gems for the mastery of family life and business life as teammates and not opponents come in. Like, y'all actually saw that as an opportunity, but also you saw how family made business work and business made like, come on, bring it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. I mean, the best part is that now 10 years later, about 10 years later, we look back and we're just like, God, thank you, right? Like, just praising God for that. Because in the moment of struggle, in the moment of crisis and pain and suffering, you're not thanking God, right? Like, you're like, why is this happening?
You should, though.
And we're good people. Like, my dad, he's a pastor and all that, like, why does this happen to us?
Yeah.
But now that we see the blessing on the other side, we're like, we're glad that things happened the way that they did. And my mom is making way more money than my dad ever did, right? They're running the business together as well. Maybe that's a huge influence on me too. It's like, oh yeah, we can do this together. We're married. I've seen my parents do it. And it hasn't been easy for sure, right? In the moment when it happened, we're like survival mode, right? We're like, we just got to take the skills that we have and make something out of it. And sometimes it takes crisis for us to actually be uncomfortable and be willing to step out and just say, world, this is what I have to offer. Like, I'm believing that I can make something out of it because I really have no other option. And I'm not going to lie, it was super, super stressful the first couple of years. I mean, we were dealing with having to renovate our home because my dad was now in a wheelchair and my mom having to learn English really, really well to be able to communicate with her clients. But now, like 10 years later, the growth that we've seen in our family, and that has really, that experience is really what inspired me to study business. I mean, I was 16 years old and, 2 years later, I was going off to college and I was like, I want to study business because I've seen the impact that entrepreneurship can have on my life. And there's been other families that have similar stories that I've heard of. And I was like, I want to be that person for someone, that person that can pull them out of a crisis and say, hey, you're going to be okay. You're going to be able to pay your bills and support your family.
Man, so I told you we're going a different direction. Saul, when did you hear that story from her? Was it before you all got married or got engaged, or was it like before y'all really came to the agreement that we're moving forward? Like, at what point did you hear that story?
Absolutely. That story, it's like a big puzzle. And little by little, we share puzzle pieces. We met in 2017, about 6 years ago. And the first time we met, we became friends. We were really good friends for about 3.5 years, even before we dated. That's a whole nother
story, right?
A whole nother story.
It might be tonight, probably this morning. You're watching now. Go ahead.
Telling your life.
And so it was puzzle pieces of this great picture. When we first met, we talk about parents and things like that. Both of our moms are from Mexico. And, oh, my dad is in a wheelchair. Oh, okay, there is an accident that happened. And so that was kind of like the first wave of things. And then the second part, as we, when we decided to move forward into a more serious relationship, then came in the details of like, hey, my dad was in Mexico and I was here in Houston, Texas. And we got the phone call and there was a little bit more emotion. And when we started both walking together in both areas, in family and business, and those went tangible. We started Came to Serve together. Honestly, Came to Serve didn't really take off until we decided to do this as a couple. Before that, it was just an idea.
Yeah.
So that's the importance of family business life. The great Napoleon Hill says the first member of your mastermind needs to be your spouse. If it's not, go make amends and make your spouse, make your partner the first member of your mastermind. And so that was very wise from Napoleon Hill. So when we decided to do Came to Serve together, then the other pieces of this is why I'm passionate about this project that we are taking up together because of this story. And then I saw how the story really had an influence. And it's interesting because we're both separate people. Even though we're one couple, we're separate people, and we both bring our own stories into the mix. And that's how together we create the experiences to share, to equip, and also to help the young adult community that we're so passionate about helping.
One of the things that connects with why I asked that question is because I wanted to bring to the surface this thought process connected with what could have influenced your thought process about you all moving forward together, right? Because sometimes, especially early on in, pursuit of marriage, there's this thought process of, I don't know if I want to deal with that kind of stuff, or is that something that really is going to work for our future, and are we going to have to take care of them, like all those types of things. But also there's another side that a lot of people don't go to, and that is that more so I wanted to see if you started to hear some of that story and find yourself in the position to where you were like, ooh, this woman is a gem. Is that where you were? Was it like, oh, she brings something to serve. She know what service is. She know what value is. And what was it that was behind you even sharing your vision with her about Came to Serve? Like bring it together for me, man.
Right. A vision to Came to Serve. Well, like I mentioned, we were very close friends for about 3 years, even before we started dating. And let me put this on the record. We did not find each other attractive. We had no interest in dating. This wasn't a thing that, like, oh, maybe.
Whoa.
Sure, absolutely not. Those things came during the process right before we started dating. But for 3 years, we were just very close friends. And, we just didn't have that romantic interest with each other. And so we knew each other.
Mike.
We knew each other just as people. So the same way, just as friends, as people, and the same way we would share the story of like, hey, I went on a date this week, or I'm talking to this person. Those are the conversations friends have in college. Hey, I went out for dinner. It's like, hey, I have this idea. I know I want to do something in life. I don't know what it is, and so I just know I want to call it Came to Serve. And something that was very interesting is that we both had different, not too different, but different approaches to how Came to Serve was going to look like. Vanessa studied business and for-profit. I studied social work and nonprofit. So we both had different visions on how we're going to bring whatever God brought into us outside, to the world, outside, to bring it to serve others. And it wasn't until we started dating, it wasn't until we committed. And that's the importance of family, business, life, because as we grew together as a family, as we grew together as a couple and solidified ourselves as a family, then the business vision started taking place and molding as well. It wasn't before, it was during. So it wasn't before, it wasn't after. It was as our relationship was growing, our business started taking form. How do we merge not only our two lives as one couple, but two visions to serve to one vision as a business? Mm-hmm. So those grow together. And as we grew together, that's when we started noticing the gems in one another. Like the great Michelangelo said, he said, hey, there's a sculpture. I know it's in there. I'm just chopping off whatever is not. And the same thing happened with our business and with our relationship. This is how we want a relationship. This is how we want, or this is how we're leading our business, and we're just chopping off things that are not part of that vision, because they go together. Our family life and our business life, they grew tangentially. They grew together.
Y'all. So for y'all segment, what I'm feeling and seeing emerge is this benefit of really honing in on the family piece. Let me tell you why. The pervasive problem is family life crashing and burning while business life is thriving and vibing. And I always say that thriving and vibing of business is really an illusion. And Linan and I really started jumping into this, and we didn't really go deep in it, but we did kind of, tread around in the murky, shallow waters. And we started kind of touching on love, right? And we teetered on love in the business environment, and the love languages finding themselves in the business environment. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because as we talked, I mentioned how the love, even I said this when I was on with James, the private is what really gives us the true reward. See, you don't get rewarded with the same type of compensation that you get in business and family. You don't get certain rewards in family life that come in business life. They're not equal, by the way. Like, you might get millions of dollars in business, and you might experience a growth or have a crisis or a challenge or something intangible that cannot even compare to the value of the monetary gain you get in business or the rewards that you experience. And so how was it? Because I'm hearing this from you guys. How was it that you all really found yourself in the position to be valuing the family dynamics, the relationship, the connection, that private interaction, and it just began to fuel your business life? Like, I'm hearing it because I continue to tell people, I said, listen, when you eliminate family life crashing and burning and position it to be thriving and vibing, what happens is you start to see both of them thrive and vibe, and you increase productivity and profitability in a more substantial way through quantum leaps and all sorts of other things that relate to high performance. Guys, y'all got to talk about that with us today.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'll start by saying, man, one of my biggest fears growing up, because I saw it so much, was to become that family where work was the number one priority. And I never see my parents. I don't have a relationship with my parents. And, just watching over the years, families fall apart because business and work becomes their number one priority. That was my fear. One of my biggest fears is to not, to become that. Yeah. And so I shared that with him from the very beginning. It's like, I don't want this kind of life where work is the number one priority. I don't, yes, I want wealth, but that is not going to take priority over my family.
Come on.
It's a big no for me. And so I made that really clear to him, and he shared the same heart as me. And so knowing that we were on the same page about where our priorities are was like, okay, how are we going to practically live that out to make sure that we don't fall into that trap? Because it's not like a night and day thing. It happens over the years. And so one of the things that we do, like religiously, non-negotiable, is we have our weekly date nights. Every Wednesday, every week since we started dating, we have not skipped any week at all for no reason at all. And it can just look like watching a TV show together. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, anything expensive. The fact is, talking about love languages, my love language is quality time.
Come on, cutie.
And so I'm like, hey, as long as we spend time together, that's what's important to me. Knowing that in the moment, if I'm feeling like an emotional crisis or going through something, that we will drop business, we will drop work, we will drop anything to address what's happening in our family. And that's been true. I mean, I feel like he has taught me so much about priorities as well. And so being able to keep each other accountable to saying, hey, remember our values, remember what we said at the beginning, remember what our vision is for our future.
Yeah.
Let's keep our priorities straight, and setting very strict, like, not rules, but guidelines and accountability. You know, we're each other's accountability partners because we know what we want in the future, 10 years from now, 5 years from now.
And Mr. Leo, I think the great wise one said it first: where your treasure, where your heart is, that's where your treasure will be. And
Man,
that's where you will direct your treasure.
that's day 7 lunch and learn conversation. Come on,
Your,
talk
your,
to it,
your
so
time. So where your heart is, there will your treasure be. And we decided.
no, where your treasure is, there will your heart be.
There you go.
I'm gonna talk about that in a moment. Go ahead, say what you're gonna say. I'm gonna give you some something on that.
And it works as well, vice versa. The great wise one said it first. And so we decided to make that decision when we started, as our family life and our business life grew together. And this is a story we share about, how to improve your relationship with money. We share with young adults. We share how to build what we call MAP, M-A-P, to financial mastery. Yes, we do share those things. But one thing we have to know as well is that where you put your finances, that's where your priorities are. Like, if you're stressing about, like, oh, I need to pay the car, your priority right now is your car. If you're stressing about your bills, oh, I need to do this, your priority at that moment is your bills. So we decided to intentionally put our marriage as that priority. Therefore,
Oh my goodness.
redirect part of our finances. And we do teach that. Yeah, you can go on a date. Vanessa was saying we've been on a date for more than 2 years, 127 date nights consecutively, nonstop. And why? Part of it, it's because where our what goes first?
Where our treasure is,
Where our treasure. So
there will our heart be also.
we budgeted first our giving, and then also our date nights, and then everything else. Our time with us first. Where our treasure is, that's where our heart is. So we put our treasure towards giving because our heart is with God, and then we put our treasure towards each other, and then we budget for everything else.
Man,
And
come on, listen. Let me share this with y'all as I set you up, because y'all just doing a lot of this mic dropping this morning. So I talk about this in relation to the first master key, as far as where your treasure is, there where your heart be also. And you'll get a sense of why when I get there. But listen to this thought process. A way to think about it from a practical modern standpoint is, where my money is, there will my bank account be also. All right. So listen, where my treasure is, there will my heart be also. Where my money is, there will my bank account be also. What it's saying is that my heart is like the bank account. Our bank account is really a place that stores our money, a place that allows us to use it in certain ways. I'm not going to get into, the nuances of a bank account and all that kind of stuff. But essentially, the modern day thought process is, my money is a treasure. And so I put it in a place where it can be accessed, utilized, kept, protected, all those types of things. But also, because of its value, I put it in a place of value, right? Our heart is the central place of value for the things we value, is what it's really trying to communicate to us. So what you're telling me is, what you all did was said, the central place of value is going to have things that are most valuable there. Not we're just going to put anything in there, right? And what happens is, why family life crashes and burns is because, like business, we don't necessarily prioritize the things that are valuable to be in our place of most value. And you guys are saying, no, we were not going to just put anything in our place of value. We're going to put the best things in our place of value to be a lead off for what is really valuable. Now, with that, let's roll into this. How, let me ask it differently. Which one, because remember, I talked in the misleading belief number 2, the misleading belief of believing that we have to choose one over the other. You can't choose one over the other. But let me ask you this. While you cannot and should not choose one over the other, is it possible that you can prioritize one over the other and position yourself in detriment? And if so, which one did y'all prioritize in order to make sure you see the benefit in both?
Definitely. I think prioritization also, they're both equally important. And how we prioritize one first, then the other, for us, it came in seasons. And
Okay.
it's very important to speak about seasons. There's the great Bible says there's seasons to work, there's seasons to rest, there's seasons to laugh, and it's important to know what are those seasons. There's seasons to rest as well. So one story I don't think we share this story much.
Come on.
It's very
Come
interesting
on.
to us. So this is going to be exclusive with you. Is that when we got married, we started our business. I believe it was like 4 to 5 months before we got married. We were engaged, and then we started our business. And 5 months, 6 months later, we got married, and we felt called to go into a sabbatical. So we did 8 to 9 months in a sabbatical, which is a period of just rest. It's a biblical period of rest. We just felt that was in our heart to do, and we felt called to do that. And we decided that our marriage was going to go first. Our marriage was going to have priority in this season because we were just newlyweds, and we moved. We just moved in together. We're married. We're figuring out this marriage life, and we decided to just pause all the business things. We decided just to pause and prioritize in our marriage, but also knowing that once this period of rest, and we took 8 months, no business. We decided to do some other things, just no adding like academic schooling during that time, just prioritizing time with each other. And we just had this additional commitment. However, we knew that when the time was up, we were going to pick up where we left off in our business. And now it was time to grind. Now it was time to go forward. And that's when we launched our book, Overcoming Your Money Madness, which became a bestseller on Amazon 2-3 weeks later. That's when we did the audition for the Great American Speak Off. And
What?
made it to the,
I was all in this.
Yeah.
I was all up in this.
It was like
right
after a couple weeks later, after our sabbatical, we decided to audition for the Great American Speak Off, and we made it to the semifinals. After that, we were able to go to Miami, so we can be part of the semifinals and be part of Grant Cardone and Pete Vargas 10X Stages workshop. And then after that, the doors just open, just being on podcasts, being here with you on challenges. We have other challenges away. So we see how God compensates when you give him something so he can bless it. And then we felt called and decided to go into a period of rest, but knowing that when that period of rest was done, our foundation is already here, but now it's time to grind and work in business. So even though we had all this move, what Leo was saying at the very beginning of this live, yes, we've been through it. We've gone through the move. We went through a season of unemployment. We had to do renovations. We were all here, but we were able to manage the hit because the foundation was already established. That's why what Vanessa said is so powerful. Business is not separate from family; it's within it, because that's how we manage. That's how we manage, and we center and create a flow with both. So that's been it. So
man, I'm glad. Man, see, I knew I saw something shining through you guys when I met you. Like I get a little bit of the backstory. I get a little special experience and everything. Remember, y'all heard it first on the 9-day transformation challenge. Guys, listen. So this is just so good. You were talking about. So it's two things I want to touch on as we transition into my next question for you guys. Man, y'all just been dropping the mic, man. Mic droppers.
Or your coffee for the morning.
Yeah, listen, Linan, you're the trigger person. These folks are the mic droppers. Okay, all right. So, man, look at this comment here that came in. Listen, guys, you talking about y'all was on fire this morning. Somebody here talking about dynamite, right? Or I'm gonna go to the JJ Evans dynamite. You know, all right, all right, all right. So it's two things here, guys. So the two things are, and I'll give some perspective about them. You know, I'll tell you what they are, then I give some perspective, and it'll lead to this next alley hoop that I'm going to throw you. So the two things are, one, you talked about that sabbatical in marriage and the prioritization of your family life and your marriage, making that, you know, central. And then you talked about how business is inside of family. All right. So first on the sabbatical piece, like as you guys were talking about it, I don't know if y'all really studied this, but when it came to the first year of marriage for many Jewish marriages, I don't know if they still do this, but certainly, you know, back in the more Old Testament times, they would have a year of focus on their marriage, right? Whether they had a child or not didn't matter. It was like a year of focus on the marriage to where they had been set up by their families to be able to transition into this union that was now designed to bring value to their lives, to their ancestry, but also their posterity of generational influence and effect. And so that was unique for you guys to talk about how y'all literally took that time to say, let's mesh this, let's bring it together, let's make it work. And like that right there was just powerful. Just to be honest, there's a thought process of, if my wife and I had done that, we would have had a lot more of a transformational progression in our initial months and years as it pertained to our relationship. A lot of that came on the back end, but y'all did it proactively. We ended up doing it reactively, but I do know when you do it, it's gonna work. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
The second thing, as it pertains to business being in family, and this is kind of where I want you guys to go, maybe the latter portion of this time, is how is it that you saw, and I know you talked about your experience, Vanessa, but for you guys in dealing with the sabbatical, because you got to see what you said. You said we went on the sabbatical, and coming out of the sabbatical, like y'all made some hits. You went, you know, Great American Speak Off. You went 10X stages. You're in semifinals in Miami. I mean, you're on podcasts. You're on stages of, you know, various digital aspects and other opportunities. It's like, right? And so in that time of really prioritizing family, how much did it fuel you for business? How much did it fuel your vision? How much did it fuel your appetite? Now, let me truly set this up for you, because I'm really just trying to get some cheat code going here. And that is this. This is one of the things I teach, that when you really get that family solid, it produces for business life, whether it's a career from an employment standpoint or a career from an entrepreneur standpoint. But my question is, what is it that you guys begin to see emerging, happening, taking place with you all, that just calls you together to come out of that sabbatical like hitting it like y'all have been working for the last 8 months?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we were working for the last 8 months, in the sense that not physical work, but spiritual and emotional work.
Come on.
We're both achievers, right? We're both, you know, Enneagram 3, whatever, achievers, type A people. And so we're both, it was a lot of emotional and spiritual work for us to rest, like the actual like real resting, not just like not doing anything, but real resting, or like trusting that all your plans and all the things that you have to do are going to get done, just not right now. And like really, really like shifting your mental focus and emotional focus, like it does take work, right? It's a different kind of work than what we think. But we were really, the first couple of months were like, oh, this is great, honeymoon phase, whatever. After a couple of months, we're like, man, I feel like I need to do something with myself. Like, I feel like I'm not doing what I could be doing. I feel like I'm having to say no to all these things that sound like really fun that we could be doing. And so it becomes kind of this upside down kind of a world that you're saying no to all these things, and it actually feels difficult. And so I will say that living in this society of, achievements, being praised, and all the things that we're doing all at the same time is great. It's also really difficult to say no to all of those things and be the people that are just not doing anything right now, just having to force yourself to focus on your marriage and really, really dig deep into those conversations that maybe you can easily avoid when you have a busy life. And so that really taught us a lot. And also, I think what fueled the business life is, there's this saying that I heard as a teenager that I really, really love. It says, the light that shines the brightest, the light that shines the farthest shines the brightest at home. So that really stuck with me when I heard it. It's like, oh, like if I can focus my energy in my home life and in my family and in my marriage and set that foundation, that's what's going to change generations. That's what's going to leave a legacy. That's what's going to shine bright outside of my home into all the people around me. And so, like kind of just having that coming in, it really says that, hey, me focusing on our marriage right now, I know that's gonna serve our business in the long run. And also, especially being married and knowing that, stepping into marriage and knowing that we both have that commitment to each other, that we're willing to put aside our dreams that we've had since before we even liked each other, right? Because we both have had these dreams since teenagers, saying, hey, I'm willing to put this aside that I've had in my heart for years to focus on you, to focus on us as a couple. Like that speaks volumes and volumes of love for each other and commitment, right? Even if we don't feel like it sometimes. And so that, setting that stage and that foundation up in the very beginning, once we were ready to do business, I'm like, I know I don't have that fear anymore that I mentioned earlier of, man, we might become that family that like just puts family and money above everything else. Like because he was willing to make that sacrifice with me in the beginning, I'm like, I can trust him to guide our family and to help us keep priorities straight. And so it just fuels, when you remove those barriers, those mental beliefs, those fears, at the beginning, it really fuels you to move forward quickly.
And also, Leo, going back to like what you said at the very beginning, is that sometimes we are so active and we measure things in our business, but then we're reactive and we don't measure things in our marriage. And so taking a time of rest and sabbatical was a way to be proactive in our marriage, was a way to, and how we measured, if we wanted to measure anything, was by the things we didn't do and the things we wanted to do in business. And when the only thing you have in that season is your partner, like you can just grow from there. You grow in love, you grow in trust, you grow in bonding. And then when business comes, you have a stronger why on why you want to do things.
Don't stop with that. Don't stop with that. I want you to take that further, but in this direction. Vanessa talked a lot about the feelings and the thoughts and the difficulty of saying no to things that look like really great opportunities. From your side, not only what did you see in those moments, but more so like as the husband of that relationship, like what were some of the things you said? What were some of the things you were vulnerable about? What did that look like? Because what I'm hearing is you guys, somebody said, this sounds like a great opportunity, but this is what we're committed to in this seat. Like, talk about that, because a lot of times people they don't. Yeah, come on, get it.
Awesome. No, definitely. When it came to the opportunity, Well, we already made the agreement before. So when we made this
Hold
about
up. Hold up. I just want to make sure everybody hears that. We already made the agreement before. Okay, hold on. I got to come back on screen for this one. Listen to what he said. We already made the agreement before. This goes back to why I say it is a misleading belief to believe that you need to choose between one or the other or make one more important than the other, because it's based on, as James said, not the mechanics or the mechanisms, but the intention. We already made the commitment before. Keep going, brother. Come
Yeah.
on, take us there.
So we already made the agreement before. So as we were dating, you share everything, your life vision, your business
We all
idea,
did.
my calling, ministry. This is what we want to do. And then when we move into marriage, if we want any of those things to flourish, our foundation needs to be set. So we had to prioritize for this season, this this area of our life. So we made the decision before. Okay, anything that looks like business is not part of rest in this season. So therefore, whenever an opportunity came, either to myself or to Vanessa, we already knew because we already had that agreement. So it wasn't this dynamic of, hey, one of us is networking and the other one said no. It's that we both were in agreement to, hey, if this sounds like business, and we had other things too. If it sounds like an academic opportunity to have a degree, if it sounds like another work opportunity outside of the jobs we already had, then we would already say no. So that kind of prepared us emotionally to do this and to take rest together. But it's because of that. It's because we already made the decision and we had the intention to proactively pour into our marriage, because we knew that if we didn't do that, if we didn't proactively pour into our family, our business life wasn't going to thrive.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
so-
I mean, speaking on behalf of maybe the women or the wives out there, even though we're in this business together and we have this similar vision, I think the most important for me emotionally as a newlywed wife was to know that my husband was willing to sacrifice anything for our marriage, for me, that I was like his number two, right? God being number one. And he proved that to me, and I hope I proved that to him as well, right? And so that just sets you up, because I think so many people's fear, especially if you're not in business together, is that one will take off in business and you're just that's gonna become your life, like that's gonna be your thing. And it's gonna take over everything, and it's like it holds, you're trying to kind of hold your spouse back, like don't leave, like don't emotionally check out, don't like leave, all get into that life where work is the number one thing or business is the number one thing, and there's that fear. And so once you set that foundation and you can almost like say, hey, I'm going to prove to you, I'm not just going to say to you that you're my number one priority, I'm going to prove it to you at the very beginning that that's true. And so that just sets you up to fuel, like you said, fuel your business together.
Man, one of the things I love about you guys is how proactive you were about those things. Let's just be honest. One of the reasons Leo is the family business life mastery coach is because he experienced the fullness of crashing bird for family life. I tell you, like you talked about the importance of Saul really making sure you knew if he could, he would run through brick walls of fire for you. I didn't communicate that, right? But I was doing it for work, right? I was doing it professionally. I wasn't doing it personally. And here's where that's such an important thing. Whether people like to talk about male headship or not, or any of those things, it's like so important that you really understand. And I talked about this yesterday in the Lunch and Learn, the understanding of roles and relationships, right? Relationships are what they are, but relationships have roles, and then there are roles within relationships. And so what you're communicating is like, yes, y'all's relationship is important, right? And so you prioritize that. But you also, in prioritizing that relationship, you prioritize it from a perspective that this relationship has a role in other relationships, right? But then inside of the relationship, you're saying these are our roles. Like you said it, both of y'all are type A, both of y'all are achievers. And it's like, we're going to make it happen. But there was in that sabbatical an absolute commitment to setting the foundation not only of the marriage, but setting the foundation of the roles in the marriage, setting the foundation of, see, watch this. This is one of the things I've loved in learning about how to eliminate family life crashing and burning, and really find that vein and lane of mastery for family life and business life. And that is this: there is in absolute truth the biblical and godly regard for the roles, all right, in marriage. Okay. In that, you've got to learn the dynamics of each individual's personality, their temperament. Like our wedding officiant, the biggest takeaway I took from his counsel with us before marriage was that word temperament, right? He was like, it is so important that you guys understand and regard each other's temperament. Now, I did not take that advice early on, but it helped me later on down the road. Okay, but here's what I'm getting to as we get ready to wrap it up. What I'm getting to is, you have your an anatomical, biological, relational roles. But even within that, you've got to find out, okay, is this person a person that's hungry, or is this person a person that has to be awakened to their hunger, right? Is this a person that has to, be inspired, encouraged, and motivated, or is this person already there? And you sometimes got to say, hold on, bring it back. It's like you got to look at it and see, what role do I play in the dynamics of that person in that regard. And so as we get ready to close it, guys, and you give like some final thoughts, give us some final thoughts, as well as share whatever option, offer, however they can connect with you, get with you, all that good stuff. Give us some perspective on how you all really meshed and found the meshing of your roles in your relationship.
Right. Want to go on now?
That was a lot.
No, but I think, I guess once we started doing business together and just kind of learning, at first it was difficult, right? It's like, well, how do we make decisions together? We both consider ourselves pretty stubborn people. I think I'm a little more stubborn, but like just figuring out, both of us are achievers, both of us are visionaries, both of us have this dream for our lives. So like, how do you mix that together and be business partners now? And so one of the things we learned is just our strengths, like just being able to admit that he has strengths that I don't, and that I have strengths that he doesn't, and being like humble enough to admit that, because that's really hard, especially in marriage when it's so intimate. It's like, just like, yeah, that's not my strength. Like, I'll admit that that's not what I'm good at.
Let go
I'm
of ego.
gonna let you take that, and then vice versa. And so just kind of being willing to be humble enough to say, hey, like, you're in charge of the things that you're strong at, that you're better at, and I'm in charge of the things that I'm better at. And oftentimes what that's led up to for us is, Saul is a great visionary. He's a great communicator. He's a great encourager. He's like the people person, and he's the extrovert, right? And you've seen that. And so he's very much like the face of Came to Serve, and is the one who like coaches people and encourages people, and really great at asking questions and getting like to the root of people's issues. And so, and I feel like I'm more like the empath, right? Because I've been through a lot of these similar struggles that our people are dealing with. I'm like, I can connect with you on that. I can see you where you are and understand that this is difficult, and it's okay to sit in that for a little bit.
Yeah.
And also, just because I studied business, I understand like the grinding wheels behind business, right? The finances and the operations and strategic planning and all of that stuff. And so I'm able to bring in that perspective of like, yeah, this is a great vision. It's a big, big vision, but like, how is that going to practically look on a day-to-day basis? So we kind of have learned that over the years that we've been doing it. And I mean, we didn't know intuitively. We have to kind of learn it through trial and error of like,
Yeah.
oh, actually, I see that that's a
Right.
huge thing that you have that I don't think that way. And that's a strength.
And
Man,
something
y'all
very
did it
important.
on that. Come on, Saul. Say it. Say it,
Yeah,
brother.
something very important was two key things. One, communicating, and two, asking questions. It was very
Man.
important. One of the questions we learned how to ask during the very beginning of our marriage or even our dating period was, "Hey, how can I serve you today?
Mm.
How can I serve you?" And sometimes the answer comes, "Well, I don't know. Like I have a need, but I don't know what it is," and that's totally fine. Okay.
But you're moving in that direction.
Yeah, now we communicate. I am here to figure it out with you. I am here to walk it through with you. And taking that time for us, we learn how to ask and answer those questions and also communicate, even if the answer isn't here, how to fill in the gap. Okay, we don't know. That's okay. I'm here with you. The beautiful thing is that how can I serve you today? That question actually led to highlighting our needs and our strengths.
Mm.
Like where do we have our needs, and how can as a partner just be part of that and satisfying those needs. And the beauty is that that transitioned naturally and organically into our business. So in
Mm.
our business, we started asking how can we serve either through our business or how can we serve our business? How can we grow our business? Because we already did it with each other. And our business is basically just a fruit of us. So asking it towards each other, now we're able to ask it to our business. How can we serve our business? We don't know. That's okay. We're here to figure it out and to have it grow. So the same dynamic we had with our family is the same dynamic that organically grew into our business. Because we always hear, like, your business, you are your brand. Well,
Mm.
who's you? You are part of your family before your
Come
brand.
on.
And so,
Yeah.
so the same questions and the same communication we had with each other organically and naturally just steeped in or steeped in into our business.
And I just want to add one thing that I
Sure.
feel like has just been so crucial to like us being business partners and being married. It's been admitting, like you said, there were moments where we just didn't know what to do, like in our marriage or even in our business. Like we just don't have the answer, and being willing to admit that we need help. Like that is so huge. And we hired business partners or business coaches, and so we specifically look for we need to find a married couple who's doing business together, who's 10 years ahead of us, 5 years ahead of us. And
Mm.
we want our lives to head in that direction, that the way that they're living it. So we found that. We found business coaches that were not just business coaches. They were marriage coaches, life coaches, spiritual coaches.
Come on. Sound like Leo.
And so, yeah. And so admitting like we need help and looking
Yeah.
for outside help and being willing to invest money in that, not only for our marriage, but for our business. And we've been doing that for 2 years now. And so that's a huge part is just admitting that we need help.
Leah,
Man,
drop the mic.
y'all dropping the
So,
mic for real tonight. Or this morning. I want to call it tonight.
Yeah.
Y'all, like we got to do this again soon, and we will. This is just like I knew y'all were gonna bring the fire. You knew you were gonna bring the fire, and so tell the folks how they can connect with you guys. Go ahead.
absolutely. Everything here as it is in our name, came to serve everything. Instagram,
Put that
Facebook,
QR code up.
came to serve. Also, here we go. You
There
can
you
pause this
go.
video, scan the QR code. This will take you to just kind of a web page where we have just all of our social media right there. So just scan the QR code. This is came to serve. I think it's mirrored. Next time we'll print it out mirrored so it comes out right. Came to serve right.
Nah, I think it's good. Yeah, it looks weird on your side, but it's good. Yeah. So, man, I hate we have to cut this conversation just because we decided beforehand. But guys, this was magnificent. You guys were the first ones who were publicly live on YouTube,
Go.
on LinkedIn, and y'all, it's just going to get better from here. And whoever you are out there who's dealing with family life crashing and burning, just know that they gave you a lot of nuggets for how to really think about prioritizing family. And I told you guys that this is bigger than just marriage. They talked a lot about marriage, but if you notice, they didn't even start with marriage. They started with being a child in a relationship with a parent and like being with the mother. And so it was this whole dynamic. And so when it comes to achieving family, business, life mastery, like they said, it starts with who you're connected with. It starts with the community you're part of. And I need everybody who listening to my voice to know there's a way to be part of the community. If you're watching from LinkedIn or YouTube, there's a link down in the description or above in the description, wherever you are looking. And you click that link and you go to the bottom of that page, it'll show you how you can become a part of the community. And when you become a part of the community, what's going to happen is you're going to be seeing more faces like Saul and Vanessa, because we're going to continue to bring them in order to give you as much value as possible. Listen, we got to get out of here. Get ready for the 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time lunch and learn. We're going to be talking about a unique topic. It's starting with the first accurate belief that actually destroys the misleading beliefs that cause family life crashing and burning. And y'all, it's going to be on fire. Are y'all ready for it? Well, just get there and get in your seat and be prepared. Y'all take care. You hear me now?